Welcome, everybody. This is Jacob.
And this is Jake.
Welcome to D5 Questing, a special bonus episode in a two-part mini-series.
Yes, you have made it through our first recording session.
And that's no small feat.
No, it's not. And just again, to start it all off, to acknowledge to you all, great job for making it this far. I hope you enjoyed what you did listen to. We enjoyed making it.
Yeah.
Even though the cringe was real.
The cringe was strong.
In everything. We get that.
I tell you what, though, going back and re-listening to those episodes as we were editing,
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was laughing a lot. I was having a good time re-listening while I was editing the videos.
So regardless of whether or not you liked it as a fan, if you're a fan, you liked it.
We're still having a good time.
We're still having a good time, and we're still gonna do it.
Yep. So everybody understands going forward. We still have, I think we've reached to about.
We are
3 recording sessions in now.
Yeah. So we've recorded 1 through 7.
Yep.
And then the intro episode through 14.
Mm-hmm.
So 0. So episodes, whatever. That's 7.2. That's coming up, coming your way. This is 7.1, 7.2.
Yep.
And then we recorded 8 through 14.
Yep.
The second session, and then we recorded episode 0, and then
in our new recording studio.
And you could probably tell the difference there. It was a big difference. We also turned off the fan.
Yep,
and that's what we wanted to talk about here.
Yeah, the reason why the audio, for the most part, yes, we were having some sync issues, which we were able to clear up after listening to our first 7. But we also had a lot of background noise that we didn't recognize were going to be such a problem.
A huge problem. So
because even in the room, we barely heard that fan. Like, it really wasn't bad. And you don't necessarily even hear it in any of the recordings because Jacob did such a great job editing it out. But in doing so, it really dampened a lot of the sounds. That's why it sounds wonky.
I appreciate the flattery, but I know there are fans out there that are like, did he do a good job, though?
Right.
If you maybe we can release the unedited versions of the episodes as like special bonus
so you can really understand what we were working with.
Maybe we'll open up like a tier or something for that.
So because of that, we really did improve our recording going forward. I'm really proud of what we got. We've listened to it, and it does sound like we've, for the most part, figured things out. We still have a few microphone issues that we work out once in a while.
Episode 8, I just finished editing, and there were a few alignment issues.
Yeah.
Especially with your microphone. I don't know why yours is off.
I don't know why my timing's off on my computer.
Yours is just a little slow. So I've done my best to try and go through and fix that. But going forward, we should see a very dramatic increase in sound quality.
Yep.
So as a special reward for our listeners and our fans, we wanted to give you this special bonus episode 7.1 as a recap for things that you may or may not have picked up on. So this episode is a little bit of housekeeping, a lot of recap
of episodes 1 through 7.
Episodes 1 through 7. No spoilers. No spoilers.
So, and this will be put out right around the times of episode 8. So you'll probably be catching this right when you catch your episode 8.
So, if you've liked what you've heard so far, it's only going to get better. This is a great time. If you liked it, but you're like, I don't know if I can introduce that kind of audio to my friends or family, now's a great time to start them on this episode and let them make the choice if they want to go through and suffer through 7 hours of amateur hour learning curve. Steep learning curve is what we'll call it.
The second part coming up after this, which will be a separate recording, but they're going to be put out in tandem, is going to be our character introduction, because we recognized we didn't necessarily do that, so we took time that everybody recorded a little bit of backstory about their characters.
Yep. And so you'll hear from John, H, Jake, and Reed. I didn't do any of the back character stories for any of the NPCs, so sorry.
That's not true. I mean, shoot.
in that episode in
We
7-2,
we can talk about.
Caladriel,
We'll talk about no, oh, what's his face? He got arrested, and now we're never going to talk to him again. We can talk about Richard.
I wanna find more about Ragbon Smythe.
Ragman Smythe. I think he's a deep, rich character that we're going to see again, or at least Torvo's going to talk about him again.
I hope so. I hope so. Anytime there's a tavern.
Yep. All right. So going forward, in the beginning, and you'll catch this, what episode 0 was, if any of you look at that, and I think you can tell, we recorded this after the fact with
Better audio.
way better audio. We took a lot of time, a lot of editing. There's a whole lot of background stuff that Jacob has put into it. And that goes over at least our idea of what.
A laborer is.
Yep.
The kind of a brief history of the world. Regardless if you want to tell your friends and families to listen to episodes 1 through 7 or not.
Yeah.
Episode 0 I think is a must listen to if you want to really get a full grasp on what's going to happen and kind of the idea of the history of the world. If not, especially going forward, we're going to do a lot more to really kind of emphasize on the history of the world, what role magic plays in the world, things like that. So episode 0 really does a great job introducing those kind of aspects that you may or may not see in other role-playing games.
Yeah, we're going to go deep. We're going to talk about soft and hard magic systems and so. No, I'm just. Anyways, all right.
So episode 1, we start off in Riverbend. And
Enter Richard.
Enter Richard. Episode 1, Enter Richard. We start off. As much as we tried to avoid starting off in a tavern, we did start off
Yeah, we were.
in a tavern.
Here's something for everybody to understand. We were actually trying to destroy a lot of cliche. We were trying to do
Break the
something.
mold.
Yeah, we were trying to do something unique, and hilariously, we ended up in a tavern in the beginning.
Yep.
But to help
Whose
out
fault was that, by the way?
yours,
I.
you're the DM.
That's
Sorry.
debatable.
No,
I'm also the editor.
so that people know, I think it should be known what we were trying to achieve, and it fell flat on its face. But it did help us to understand maybe what we could do again in the future.
Yep.
The whole idea that we were trying to do in this was none of us shared our background. None of us shared anything about ourselves. We were trying to do it in such a way that we'd be introducing ourselves for the first time to each other
As characters.
as we would if this was a real life situation. And
Hindsight.
what ended up, I think, happening was everybody was hesitant to give too much information, just like you would in a normal situation. You wouldn't be all like, let me tell you about my family, and I just had diarrhea the other day, We didn't want to give too much, but in doing so, all of us were really
Standoff.
bad. And I think a lot of you could hear that.
Even characters like Durfee, where it's like,
Right.
as we've gotten to know Durfee over the past 7 episodes,
He's a pretty charismatic guy.
yeah, and so like it's odd for him to have been in that situation where it's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's something that we've gotten over. The first 7 episodes, I'm sure you guys picked up on it. We were kind of still getting our bearings on how to play the system,
Yeah.
how to play Pathfinder, and also how we were going to play as a group.
That's why I think about episode 3, we hit our stride from that point.
Yeah.
Is where we stopped being like, oh, I'm going to stop being hesitant about my character and how I'm sharing and how I'm role playing.
And then, episodes 8 through the rest,
Oh, yeah.
you can really see an up, on the up and up.
Yeah.
or
And
an increase. The trend is good.
Yeah, one thing to acknowledge so that everybody does know, at the end of Enter Richard on the YouTube, on our video,
Yes.
it is missing some audio at the back end. That will be put in later as the bonus cut footage or whatever of it.
Or like episode 1.1.
Because I
or
do know some
something.
of you are hopping into episode 2, hearing the recap and going,
The heck is this?
what? I don't remember that happening. And for the most part, what you really missed was just our whole cringy interaction at the stables for the most part, waiting to set out.
So,
It's not much missed, but it'll be put in. Don't worry.
so episode 1 starts off in a tavern.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 PCs are sitting there. We won't go over what people were wearing or who was sitting where.
Yeah.
But Ragbon Smythe, the barkeep,
Yeah.
is tending to everybody, and Richard comes in boisterous, loud, help, help, help!
Yeah, freaking out.
Please, somebody! And he talks about his family's been turned to stone.
Yeah.
And that's something that all of the NPCs, or all of the PCs rather, I talked with all of the PCs independent of each other
Yep.
and said, work this into your backstory somehow. Work this in your backstory somehow.
Yep.
And so everybody had that, and that was kind of the hook to get everybody in. And so he was.
And we're all unique in it too,
Yes.
which I'm really glad of. You'll see that too. It plays out really well.
I think so.
Every single one of our backstories is a little different with the
How people
Turn to
did it,
stone.
and and you guys did that for the most part by yourself. As far as like, this is how I want to work somebody that I care about being turned to stone. You know, and so Ragbon Smythe kind of shoos Richard out and is like, you know, you're ruining business for me, and kind of like plays up Richard as this kind of crazy.
he's a kook.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so the PCs kind of follow him out the door and walk along with him through the town, and they end up kind of I think it's Durfee that walks with.
Yeah, I think
With
he's the
Richard.
first one to really interact with him.
Yeah. And
And then
so,
I think Torvo and
Mordax.
I think it was Mordax was me and
was
Torvo and Mordax were walking together kind of because I mean there's two gobos, why not?
Yeah.
and then I do think Rav wasn't he going into stores or was that
Was
that
Durfee.
Durfee?
Yeah, and I misunderstood.
You're like oh crap.
Durfee wanted to go in after the fact, and instead, I heard Durfee went in before.
Oh yeah.
And so
That's
like
where the
Richard showed up and was like, "Hey, I know you."
And then we were all like, hold on a second.
Wait, I was like, it's too late.
It's too late.
So they all
We've
end up-
retconned it. It's retconned.
They all end up at the North Stables.
Yep.
Where Ragbon basically is like, or not Ragbon, Richard is basically like, I can't pay anybody anything. My family's been turned to stone. What wouldn't you do for your family?
And we were
I
like,
need
oh
help.
boy, a questing hook.
Yeah. Basically, that's how it was. It was rough. It was cringy.
Which is funny. I got to tell you guys, like when we put it together, it wasn't cringy. Like we were like, this is awesome. This is going to be so good on a hook. And then I think because of all the hesitation we all had, and man, we were really trying to make sure our role play was good. And in doing so, we cringed it up.
Yeah.
And it ended up just being that generic start. Like it was just like, hey, my family's in danger. Oh, we're heroes. We'll go do it.
So, but I think we worked through the hiccups on that. So the episode.
So that's what it ends on.
Yeah, the episode ends with Richard leaving the party to gather supplies and get himself ready.
Yep.
There's one other person besides the PCs that showed up.
Wasn't there two? Oh, I can't remember.
One or
Anyways.
two. I know there's one of importance. I think there
Yeah.
were two initially. One of them was like, Richard, you're crazy.
And then
the other person was like, basically said the same thing, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But the PCs all stuck around.
Yeah.
And that's where episode 2 starts off, is
We
Richard.
leave
Yeah,
Riverbend.
Richard comes up. Sorry, episode 2, setting out.
Yeah,
So-
we leave Riverbend.
Very hastily.
Yeah,
Richard.
so hastily that it seems that some people forget their cardinal directions.
Yeah. We're leaving.
Because I was watching the map and we're like, we're going north, and then it's like, okay,
No, we're going south.
Yeah, we're going
We're at
south.
the North Stables.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, you're going around in a circle,
See how I did that?
and then
Throw everybody off
and
the
then
track.
somehow people catch up to anyway.
Yes. So, Richard leads the party very hastily, kind of looking over his shoulder to, be like, "Oh, we gotta go, right now."
Yep.
So he leads the party out of Riverbend to the north and east into Prapa Forest.
Parappa.
Prapa. I
Yeah.
think the Prapa way of saying it is Prapa.
When I look at it, I just think of Parappa the Rappa.
Okay.
Old school game. Sorry, my bad.
If you're going to go on a side note, I will go on a side note as well. There are two words that I find very difficult to spell: necessary and forest.
Word.
I can't.
Forest.
Yeah,
Necessary is a rough one.
necessary. I always switch it to something else. If I can't spell a word, then I'm like, that word, instead of saying that word's not necessary, I say that word's not needed
Excellent.
and move on. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways,
So,
Prapa Forest.
yep.
And they kind of go on and they hike all day.
Yeah, not
throughout
much
the
happens.
forest. Not much happens.
I
throughout
think
the
we were
episode.
just building story.
Yeah, trying to develop characters.
Mhm.
We found out about good berries.
Yeah, I think I also believe that shoot, I think two characters shared their backstory a little bit on that walk too.
Yeah,
I know
believe-
Durfee did,
Yeah, I was gonna say I know Durfee did.
but Durfee's is always interesting.
Yeah. And you can listen to 7.2
Yeah.
right after this, hopefully.
Yep. So not much happened in episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2 ends with a setting up camp.
Yep.
And it ends
getting attacked.
And it ends with a fight with a giant viper. And I think the episode ends with the fight just starting.
Yeah.
Like the viper jumps out, grabs onto Richard's leg, and episode ends.
Good for Richard.
End scene.
Yeah. So then episode 3, skinning snakes.
Skinning snakes. Skinning
That's
snakes.
true. Yeah. So in that one, we tidy up the fight, and then Rav loses his mind in this.
Well, I've had a couple people tell me that this has been one of the highlights of the show.
It's so crazy
when your character sneaks around and like is setting up this surprise attack.
I'm glad I missed.
Oh man, can you imagine? The
if
show would have been over at episode 3.
Like,
I want to spend a little bit more time on this.
Had I not missed, and we'll get to there when we hit that point. So we started off and Rav's like, he does something outrageous that I wasn't expecting him to be prepared to do. And he's like, I'm going to skin this whole snake. And we're all like, what? And then one of us was even like, do you even have the skill for that? And he's like, I sure do.
Before I knew that, though, and I need to do a better job keeping track of what you guys are capable of.
Yeah.
But before I even knew that, then I thought I came up with a pretty good solution for how long it was going to take. Because I had him roll a skill check. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah. I believe I even attacked you on this of like, have you ever skinned anything?
Yeah. It was either you or somebody else that was like, wait, or the whole party. Because that seems to happen. Wait, no.
Yeah, but it was a big snake.
Okay, let's do this. I think I set it at 3 hours to skin the snake.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, we'll roll a d6. And whatever number it lands on is how long it takes.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And then I found out that he had the tanning skill. And I was like, all right, we can just do it this way. But he said, no, I'm going to roll the dice. And he rolled a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just did like this.
And then we had to figure out who was keeping watch while he was skinning the snake all night. And I was like, how hard is it skinning a snake, man? I've been there. Anyways, so that was pretty entertaining. So he just got a gigantic bag full of giant snake skin, out of that. I remember he like rolls it up. It's like,
and that's still in his pack.
Yeah, it is. It's so wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we get approached by
the person that ran off.
Yes.
And 2 guards.
Yeah. And so we have the city watch, who I guess Richard has been disturbing the peace enough that they now want to, interrogate him or something.
Yeah, they're like, they want to arrest him.
So in that, though, Torvo decides to
take matters.
I understand how stealth works, because right at this point I was pretty excited because I had just read all the rules on stealth, and so I was like, oh, it's on. And so then I also created myself a circumstance of whoever walks into the camp, I created an action.
Yeah, and if you perceive something to be hostile, then you will attack.
Yep.
Okay, so there goes like this very diplomatic, like Rav does a great job with the RP.
Yeah.
His RP is spot on for this scene.
Yeah.
Like amazing. He's like, you better. Is that Rav?
Yeah, that was close.
You better go with the town guards, Richard.
Yeah.
We all have loved ones. That's like Richard and Durfee.
That was a mix a little bit.
We all have loved ones that we care about, and we'll be sure to make sure. And Durfee, like, Richard. Well, Richard's like, well, I just wish that my pitchfork had seen more action. And Durfee takes it and stabs the snake. He goes, there, now I've seen the blood of an enemy. And Richard's like, thank you, friend. And Durfee's like, don't call me friend. Shut that down. And then, so he goes.
Yeah.
And this NPC that I was very like, I've fleshed out this NPC, and like he's got his own backstory and stuff. Yeah. He's got a name.
And we did nothing with.
Yeah, Richard comes up, and the guy's like, "Let's go, Richard," and kicks Richard where he had got
the
bit by the viper.
Yeah, and because of
your reaction was like, well,
I gotta,
we're doing this.
I gotta attack him. And I was very resigned to my
Yeah,
fate.
that's unfortunate, you said.
Yeah. I readied the action. I didn't
Yep.
really have a choice in the matter.
Oh, it was amazing.
It taught me a lesson, but I really lucked out that my rolls were low.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally I roll decently average in my attacks.
Not
And
this time.
yeah, and so because of that, I just come flying out of the bushes, just
Just an epic
And-
failure.
and totally miss. Everything misses.
Flat on your face.
Yep.
To which he responds. Do you remember what he said?
But I remember it was just like,
said,
okay, right, here we
You
go.
know we could see you the whole time.
Right.
And like kind of gives like a and walks off.
Which has been something really fun that again that we've been trying to do, where we keep all the roles pretty much secret, and you're determined to your fate of what you say you
Yeah.
do.
And I like that.
In the idea, because just like anybody, if you feel like you're sneaking well, then you're sneaking well. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to change what you're doing because of a perceived thing from the gods of a dice roll.
Yeah. Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove, I think, is a perfect example of
Yes. And that's the perfect
he
example where he
thinks-
believes he's 100% stealth.
But everybody's like,
What is going on? And so that's what I love that so much about our campaign. Like that makes me.
And you guys, and I think you guys do a great job separating Jake from Torvo.
Right.
I think everybody does a really good job.
We're
with
trying.
that.
We really put a lot of effort into not metagaming.
Yeah. And
Yep.
not breaking that fourth wall.
Yep. So
yeah, the episode ends
with
with
them going off.
Yep.
And I think we had a general direction of where to go.
Yes. And is it? I think it's that somewhere in
We-
this
we were-
episode you guys
We
start
figured out that
tracking
we go to the
Hobgoblin.
west. We go to the west. No.
Oh no no no!
Oh,
no.
I found tracks.
You found tracks in this episode. The episode ends. After that, you guys are gonna attack a
Hobgoblin group?
yeah.
No, wait. Had we
I'm
come across
pretty
it?
sure.
It's either there or right at the
Yeah,
beginning.
because
episode 4.
Caladrel, I think it's at the very end of the episode. Caladrel's like, I wouldn't do that. You guys are about to attack the hobgoblins.
Okay, yeah.
And you hear an elven woman's voice
Yep.
from behind you.
So
I
the
wouldn't do that if I were you.
episode 4, monks and murder hobos. Because we're recognizing by this point that we all have the bloodlust a bit.
Yes.
I think we've recognized, and maybe going forward, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm giving too much away now, but I don't think anybody in our party's good. I think we set out believing that our alignments are in good.
Well, I think it's
But-
important to bring up that when you guys were in character creation,
Yeah.
we all said, don't pick your alignment.
No,
Like
and-
play. You know your character better than anybody, so don't pick your alignment and try and play to that.
Yeah, and
Play
everybody
your character.
Everybody should know that too. We're playing the character. We're not forcing ourselves into a role, which I think is more. I enjoy it more.
And the bottom line, I mean, you know Torvo better than anybody, and
don't
the
know.
whole world knows Torvo.
I've lost track of Torvo a bit.
You know,
But yeah.
John knows Rav better than anybody.
Yep.
H knows Durfee better than anybody, and Reed knows Mordax the Traveling Axe. I always forget it's the Traveling Axe, not Mordax the Axe. It's Mordax the Traveling Axe.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody knows that how
That's
their
what
character
upsets him.
would
That's his
act.
trigger.
Yeah.
So-
Drop the traveling.
Yeah. So then we go into this, and we were at a crossroads. We saw hobgoblins, which I had to make a point a few times because I think people are confused that hobgoblins are man size. They're big,
Yeah, it's
large
a-
fellas.
Tomatoes.
Uh-huh.
Maybe in this world they're different.
Maybe.
Did you roll perception check on the hobgoblin size?
At this point, at this point, we meet Miss Softleaf.
Mm-hmm. Caladril Softleaf.
Good old Caladril. And she convinces us that we might be able to find something in her village or something along the lines of, hey, come check this place out.
You guys start talking. And
She prevents us from killing the hobgoblins.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I can take you to Stoneform Village. That's not even a problem.
Yep.
And you guys start walking with her.
Yep.
And she's like, here's a crazy idea. And I remember who came up with the idea. It wasn't Caladril, but it was one of you guys that was like, maybe if we sneak in as a sacrifice.
Yeah. I think that's Rav. It was
And I
between
remember
Rav
thinking,
and
oh my
Durfee.
heck, that's amazing.
I think Rav and Durfee. I could be totally wrong, but those two seemed pretty on board about
Yeah.
Let's act like
And-
we have magic.
yeah,
and
and-
I'm like, what the frick is going on? The whole time I'm trying to go with it, but I am like scratching my head, like, why?
Oh yeah, was it this episode where it's like you guys are trying to do like a performance check or
Yeah,
something?
man. Where Rav's like, I can cast stuff where it looks like somebody
Where it
else
looks
will
like
have my
somebody
And so I'm
else.
like, why are we going
just-
so? Why am I so elaborate on
You
this?
just have to like raise your hand at the right time.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
I don't
man,
know where
think
that
about the
was.
performance checks on that.
Yeah.
Like, oh man,
So-
amazing.
So she convinces us to travel, and we do that, and we end up at
some more traveling, yeah,
We
she's
end up
like,
at a pond.
I
and
know a
she's like,
great
this is
spot."
a great waterway. And at that point, Torvo, I believe, was even like,
There's mosquitoes around
what?
here.
What the frick?
It's
Like,
garbage.
wow, Caladro, you sure know this area. Well,
So we end the episode. You guys
set up camp.
set up camp, and then Caladro's been gone for a while, so you sneak up on her,
Yeah.
and you get to the pond, and you find it completely empty,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
that's where we end the episode.
That's where we end the episode.
So yeah, episode 5, Battle of the Pond,
Mm-hmm.
begins
Uh,
with everybody except for Rav. Rav stays
Don't we
at
hear a
camp.
scream?
No, that's at the end of this one.
Oh.
Yeah. So Battle of the Pond. You guys are up. When I say you guys, Mordax, Durfee, and
Torvo.
are at the pond. Rav is at camp with his Leshy.
Yep.
No, he sent the Leshy with.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, he sends the Leshy with. And
This is in between.
yeah, and then all of a sudden
Gosh.
he sees hobgoblins running up to the camp.
Yes.
And so he's like, well, shoot, I got to go and warn the others.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those times where people are like, shoot, how do we logically get back to camp to help the fight?
Yeah.
You know, and I think Reed did a good job by being like, we're gonna send the Leshy back to say, hey, she's missing.
Yeah.
You know, because Rav can talk with his Leshy,
Yeah.
and so he rolls to like talk to the bush, and he ends up talking to the wrong bush.
That's right. That's right. It's
The
like
bush
standing-
next to
it's
him
right next to
runs
him.
off.
That's right. It should be noted too. At this point, it hadn't been updated in the Pathfinder Codex stuff yet that Leshies have become a playable race, and so we had, after this episode, I believe, we were probably in a good 30-minute discussion and debate on what the heck this Leshy
Is capable
Yeah.
of and what it can do, and
Like, for you guys to understand, we sat for a while discussing this thing. So so if you all were freaking out on what you heard on this, don't worry.
yeah.
We really took our time on it. And then hilariously, by the next time we met, Paizo had released updates to what the Leshy is.
Yeah, and so we've kind of read that, and we'll talk more about this at the end of the episode. Just kind of address that a little bit.
Yeah.
But this episode, I think what happens next is Rav starts running to the pond to be like, the hobgoblins are
Yes.
coming. Runs into the Leshy on the way up, sets up an ambush to trip one of the hobgoblins. You guys all set up an ambush at the pond, and the Battle of the Pond ensues. And this is your first real big
Actual battle.
Yeah, actual battle. 'Cause
Like
I don't-
tactical fight.
Yeah, I don't consider the Viper one.
No, this is why that's why I said tactical.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time that we're working together
And
and
trying
we're
to-
going to actually do stuff in combat.
And I think accolades are given to everyone here. I think everyone did a great job.
Yeah.
The episode ends with you guys killing.
Some of us got pretty hurt too.
Yeah, it got rough. But the episode ends with
We killed one of them
you guys killing one of them.
across the way. We captured.
Was this the long episode? This is the episode that ran long because
Probably.
nobody could hit. I remember
Yes.
thinking.
Oh,
I
it was
remember
bad.
looking at the
I
timestamp.
shot like 7 bolts.
Yeah, I remember
in
looking
my-
at the timestamp, being like, "Okay, we got to wrap this up."
Yeah.
The hobgoblin's close enough. Like, next hit, we'll drop it to 0.
Right.
And we'll end the episode. And I remember thinking that, but then for like the next 4 rounds,
nothing happened.
nobody. And I was like, all right. Or we have a TPK with this one hobgoblin.
Right.
Come on.
So,
It ends.
yeah, so we captured one.
And the episode ends with a scream,
Yep. From up the pond.
a woman's scream from up the pond.
So then we enter into episode 6. Psychedelic interrogations.
I had to look up how to spell both those words, actually.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Uh, this one, we find Caladrel. She is wearing her natural-born elf suit,
Elf suit.
which there is much discussion about this for a minute.
Yeah, so the party...
Hilarity
yeah,
ensues.
the party splits.
Yep. I think I
Torvo-
stayed with the Hobgoblin.
Torvo definitely stayed with the Hobgoblin. I think it's Rav. I think just Rav, actually, goes to investigate.
I
Or
thought Mordax
Durfee.
was with him. I don't remember.
Anyways,
Somebody, anyways,
I
they
know
find
you-
her. 2 people found her. I know it.
I know Torvo fails miserably.
To
and
tie him up.
I made the joke of like it's basically somebody just
Yeah.
overhand knot, overhand
Yeah,
knot,
so I was
overhand
like-
knot until all the ropes gone.
And then I said something like, I just use like all 50
All
feet
50
of just
feet.
running around the tree with him or whatever. Yeah,
And then-
so we rescue Caladrel. She had hurt her ankle.
and something happens when Caladrel comes back up.
Yep.
Caladrel gives a look of like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you.
So I brought the Torvo brings the Hobgoblin back to the camp.
not yet.
No, you're right. But he is tied up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Caladrel sees the Hobgoblin, she's like,
Immediately, he's like, we got to kill that.
yeah. And I
heifer."
remember because I got to use some sweet acrobatics, and I knocked the blade out of her hand.
but then couldn't catch
I
it.
couldn't catch it, so it was mildly,
Almost.
it was almost cool,
Almost.
but you know it was level 1 cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I kick it on the pommel. Torvo, man, I'm not Torvo. I am Torvo, but I'm not Torvo.
Go ahead.
Anyways, kick it at the pommel, and it flips around, and then I'm like, and stumble, and it hits. And luckily, we didn't kill anybody, but we made the joke that it falls,
lands in the
lands in the
Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin. Anyways, so that leads us to basically be like, yes, confirmed. You are in cahoots in some way.
So Caladrel tries to run off.
Yeah.
You tackle her and stomp her ankle.
Yeah, I straight up pretty much break it, I think,
And,
at that
yeah.
point.
I think it was just twisted.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, if you're gonna try and run, I'm gonna make it so you can't run.
Yeah.
To which she like sits down and settles down. After much deliberation, you guys, Rav tries and makes a paste. I don't remember how he described it, but it ends up
out of
being
like
this
mushrooms
weird
and herbs and stuff.
psychedelic.
And he's like, I don't know. We'll make it a hallucinogenic, kind of like a truth serum levels
Yeah.
of stuff.
And
And
I
we're
was
like,
like,
well, how do you apply that? And then he just starts smearing it all on his lips and in his eyeballs and stuff. And I was like, oh snap, right in the eyes. And then at that point, Hobgoblin starts tripping out.
Yeah.
And he's like, it hurts, it
Get
burns.
Get it out.
And then I think at some point we jab it into Caladrel's eyeballs too.
I think it's at the end of this episode.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think at the end of this episode, you guys end up putting the paste in her eyes. She
Yeah.
freaks out. You tie her and the Hobgoblin to a tree.
Yeah.
Caladrel passes out from the pain.
And
you
we-
throat kick the Hobgoblin
Yeah, 'cause
and
it
go
go-
to bed.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, we had enough information that we didn't need the Hobgoblin anymore. So I just basically, and then we
Well,
have,
good night.
well, we have deliberations on
Do we kill
what,
them
what do we
both?
do, and nobody liked the idea of killing something that was already. For one, he's hallucinating, so, and he's completely at our mercy, and so no, I don't think anybody liked the idea of this execution style. So Torvo takes it upon himself to kill him, and it's pretty brutal.
Yep. I think
And then I was like, all right, well, good night.
night.
and then we go to bed. And the DM at some point in this was under the belief that we had tied Caladrel up in the tree, hanging from a branch. We're like, all the rest of us were like, oh, what?
What?
Because what had really happened is we just tied them both to the trunk. But it starts off in episode 7, I believe,
Episode 7. Arrival at Stoneform Village.
where I believe it starts off at, you're like, well, so what, you cut her down from the branch
It
or
starts
whatever?
off
And we're
with
like, yeah, no. Anyways, Caladrel convinces us that it would be
Best
best.
way to get into the village is
to bring
working
her.
together.
Yeah. And so I can't recall right off the bat if we went with our goofy thing of tying her to a log and carrying her.
I think you did. Yes, you did.
Up until we see the
Yeah,
village, I
and then
think.
like by the time you guys see the village, like
Yeah.
the
And she's
gates,
like, it's not gonna work out if I'm tied to a
yeah,
log, guys.
and you guys see it, and by the time you see the entrance to Stoneform Village,
Yeah.
then they've seen you.
Yeah, we could tell that.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
they watch you entire, and I remember you made a big stink, not a stink, but you made a you. I remember you made a big deal about like, all right, help us get in,
Yeah.
and like because you guys weren't working together at that point,
Oh my gosh, yeah, we really could have
then
done better about talking. Oh,
Caladrel basically was like,
and we got the huddles.
go ahead.
That's something that's been happening.
That is something.
The
That's been happening.
huddles.
But I love what happens. Like Caladrel's like, go ahead, and then like
Yeah.
the guards start coming down, and Durfee loses his mind
Right.
and just like
Kicks her.
in the ankle.
And I was like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. So they show up, and
And then everybody proceeds to lie.
yeah,
I don't know why. Everybody in the group's lying, and I was like, whoa, none of us have any checks on that kind of level.
I love it
And
because
so-
like he comes up and it was like, what happened to your ankle? And Durfee's like, she broke it. She broke it herself.
And I'm like, what?
Uh,
What? They clearly just watched you
and-
kick her in the ankle,
And
bro.
I love how you jump in and you're like, no, I'm pretty sure I broke it.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, how? That's not any better. Like,
No, but at least I'm telling the truth.
oh, it was amazing.
Like, because the way I saw it was at least like, I'm not being deceptive. Because we're clearly outnumbered.
Uh-huh.
We chose to come here. And now we're going to be deceptive? You're out of your mind. Like, none of us have those kind of checks.
So we, you guys talk with the captain,
Yep.
who you think is the captain of the guard,
Yep.
and he's like, "How can I help you? What can I do?"
Yeah, somehow we get in the village.
Yeah.
It seems amicably.
Yeah, it's not without much. You guys huddle up, and
Yeah.
he like tries and like listens in.
Listens.
But yeah, throughout this whole thing, like you guys have huddled up a couple times, and
Uh-huh.
each time, like one of you pokes up your head from the huddle, and you see Caladrel just kind of like sitting back there, smiling.
Yeah.
And so during this huddle, because you're like, I think Durfee's like, "Do you mind if we take a minute to discuss this amongst ourselves?" And the captain was like, please do."
Yeah.
And you guys huddle, and then I make the joke of like, you guys look up from the huddle, you see Caladrel at the gates, poke her head over, smile,
Yeah.
look at you.
Like,
So-
there they go again.
Yeah, those questers.
Yeah, so we decided to go into the village.
You're shown to a tent,
Yep. With the idea that we're going to meet the
chieftain,
chieftain.
Chieftain Lamrel.
Hmm.
And after some time sitting in solitary confinement with yourself, I guess it's not solitary. After some time sitting in the tent,
Yep.
then
Of which
Vareller,
people were to the point where we were almost like, are we going to do something deceptive again?
yeah, like,
Like,
do we try and sneak
guys,
out?
well,
And
like, we're here.
maybe we try and figure this out our own.
Yeah.
So Vareller comes and brings you guys to the entrance of the cave where you
Yes.
see a symbol, the symbol that everybody has seen on their
Yeah.
or surrounding their loved one that's been turned to stone.
Yep.
Vareller does like a half
Bows.
bow salute.
And then one of us,
You-
I think it was
yeah,
me,
it was you.
was like, hey.
I don't want to impose.
yeah,
Can I? Would it be respectful?
Would it be more respectful if I did this or whatever? Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah. Vareller was like,
And then
"Oh,
all the rest of us like
absolutely."
awkwardly do it, going
Yeah.
it. So
But then Vareller starts talking. You guys start asking too many questions.
yeah, and he's
Vareller's like, I don't know if
that's for the elder.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something I should be
Yeah,
negotiating.
which at this
Um,
point was already getting irritating that nobody was answering.
Yeah.
So then we go in and meet the
Chieftain Lamro comes out,
Yep.
and you guys, three of you, I don't remember who does it, three of you see a giant emerald stone.
Oh, I think
Hanging-
Mordax
hanging
misses
in the
it, and he's
road.
like staring off at the other. Yeah, we see a giant emerald. That's yeah.
So you see that, kind of like tucked in his robes a little bit. He turns it at a weird angle and,
And
sees
it's
that.
and it's
And he's-
clearly magical. It's glowing.
And he's talking about willing sacrifices and
Yeah.
how a willing sacrifice is a lot more valuable to their
Yep.
green dragon deity because they're tarragons. They worship dragons.
Yep.
The green dragon specifically, or green dragons in general. And so and he kind of is like, yeah, if any of you have magic,
Winky face.
then we can definitely use you
Yep.
and sacrifice you to the dragon.
And some of the guys were like, yeah, yep, totally. We're totally down with that. And I'm like, what is going on?
So he shows you the willing sacrifice chambers, which
Yep.
are kind of humble straw mats, not much.
Running
And then,
water.
Running water.
Yeah.
Indoor plumbing.
Yep. Got some indoor plumbing.
And then he shows you to like the hidden spring,
Yeah.
the sacred springs. Or he doesn't show you into that actual chamber, but he's
No.
like just on the other side of the sheet is where the sacred chamber for
Sacrifice,
washing
yep.
and if you're willing sacrifices, then this is where you kind of take your
Yeah.
last bath. And he talks about it as being like this sacred water.
Yeah.
And once it merges outside with the other spring, then up until that point it's considered sacred water. And so there's two springs that come out from the mountainside.
Yeah.
One of them's for drinking water, and one of them is like you don't even touch it because it's sacred.
Yeah.
And the episode ends. You guys are standing there talking to Chieftain Lamrel, and the curtain parts,
Yep.
and you see none other but Caladriel Softleaf, dressed in the sacrificial robes, walking out.
Yeah. And I think that's where it ends.
So now
So,
you're all caught up.
Yep. So now you guys know where we're at to episode 8.
So episode 8, we'll pick up there. That comes out soon.
Yep.
If you are here with us today recording this comes out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
If not, it comes out on March, what is that, 13th? I think it's 13th, Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
2020.
It will be released on Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. A very good day.
Uh-huh.
So, couple housekeeping things. Thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah.
Couple housekeeping things. We realize that nowhere throughout this whole thing have we placed our contact information. So we've had a couple people try and reach out to us about maybe sending in some fan art or some questions they don't really want to post on social media. So you can reach out to us at d5questers@gmail.com. That is D as in Delta, 5 as in the number 5, the numeral, and then Questers, Questers. So D5 Questers @gmail.com.
Yep.
We also have a talks of another show coming out potentially in tandem with D5 questing.
That would be D5 questions.
D5 questions.
And
When we thought of that, then we were like, I don't even know what the show's about, but we have to have a show called D5 questions.
Right. And what that one's going to do is this is our attempt to continue community engagement. So these are the times that we'll be fielding and addressing questions from the general public. As of right now, it's going to be a little bit more infrequent until we have more as things pick up. But this will be done with a rocket engineer that we happen to know,
Yes.
who has been listening since the beginning, and he has analytically sat and he has no idea. He doesn't do D&D, he doesn't do RPGs.
He's not played. He doesn't even really do video games at all.
Yeah, he
He does bees. He does
he does
bees.
he does enjoy fantasy in what it is, and so he has sat and broken down some episodes, and he has his own questions about what a Librar is or what we are as a group.
Or what
And
RPG
so-
stands for.
And so to begin with that, we will probably be doing a recording session, and these ones will be roughly 30 minutes, no longer than that really, where we're going to address and field questions from the community.
From the community,
And
from
then,
him. So it'll probably be me, Jake, and
our special guest.
our special guest.
Yep, and we'll announce it at that time. This will start maybe coming through every other week, possibly. We'll
Yeah.
see. And if things pick up, then yeah, okay, we might do it every week. And this one will be more up to date. So even though we have recorded way far into the future of where we are, these will be the things that keep people
Yeah.
up to date.
So if you have questions about what's going on that you want discussed, go ahead and send us an email.
Yeah, email, I guess, also, sorry, at the D5 Questers. Also, if you are hitting us on Facebook or Twitter, things like that, if you haven't heard back, I mean, we're trying to. This is a brand new endeavor. So at least the thing that's the most permanent that would probably get checked is D5 Questers.
So d5questers@gmail.com. And, again, we said this at the very beginning, and we say it frequently throughout. We're playing this for us. Ultimately, we're playing it just so the five of us can hang out, have a good time.
Yep.
Pathfinder, Paizo's done a great job creating a mechanic and a game system in Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2e, and I've really enjoyed playing it. But ultimately, any RPG that you play, if you're playing it to the rule every single time, I don't think that that's necessarily a whole lot of fun. I think that we do a good job on the fly.
Yeah.
But as we continue to play and learn and progress, then we'll become more accurate with the rules.
Yeah, I mean, and if you guys haven't noticed, I'm probably the most stingy in the group when it comes to rules. I'm like, actually, but it's usually not that bad. So we want to, and we're more than happy to be within the rules. Just understand, if you're just going to yell at us about why didn't we do something?
And nobody has yet, thank goodness.
Yeah, then that's fine. We will approach that as it is, and we try to be accurate. But we're not going to ever postpone what we're doing for the sake of that kind of accuracy.
Unless maybe like a life-death situation, we're going to be like, all right, we got to pause this for a second. So that being said, we just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate all you guys do to listen for us each week.
Yeah.
And listen to us each week. We really...
we're very grateful. This has been more exciting than I ever thought it would be.
Yes. It's been a lot more work, and it's been a whole different challenge.
Yes.
Actually producing something.
Yep.
As opposed to actually playing. Something I never realized went into podcasts in general.
For real.
But we appreciate what you guys do to listen to us.
And I love it so much of just seeing how many of you are actually engaged in this. This makes it so worth it to keep going. So thank you so much.
Shout out to all our fans.
Yep.
Some things to look for in the future. D5 questions.
Yep.
Episode 7.2.
Yeah, going forward.
Episode 8. And beyond.
And beyond, as far as we know. This isn't going to stop. Season 1's still going.
Season 1's still going.
So, all right.
With that,
signing off.
D5
questions.
Questing. Laters.
Later.
D5.